Mark, there's a lot of news about autonomous vehicles and it's getting all of the focus, but you're looking at commercializing autonomous helicopters. How do they differ to autonomous vehicles?
The fundamental problem with transportation right now is that our infrastructure hasn't evolved in decades. And finding better ways to get around on the ground is interesting, but it doesn't solve the basic problem of how we get to work. And the interesting thing is that one helicopter, which is what we're using today, is capable of taking off the road as many as 12 cars. And so for us, this is an infrastructure independent mode of transportation that we see as scaling with the increasing needs of the broader population.
So you're doing something a little bit different. You're using existing helicopters instead of building the product from scratch. Why go that route, and how does the technology specifically work?
Building on an existing airframe that's already proven with many hours of flight allows us to focus on the technology that lessens the cognitive load on the pilot today, and one day into the future could take the pilot out of the aircraft. And so it allows us to focus on those elements, and we don't believe that we need to wait for an aircraft to come along to replace a helicopter in order to start providing meaningful utility and really moving people in a way that makes a lot of sense. And we've actually started flying first responders to scenes of emergencies in Tracy, California. We started that in August, and we're the first technology-enabled air mobility company that's operating in the United States. And very soon we'll start moving consumers. So a person could actually get to and from work using our technology-enabled aircraft.
But how do you make that work exactly? Because we've got to consider regulations, we've got to consider, something as simple as drones. They haven't even worked out drones and flying drones at the moment. How do we bridge that gap and get it to this level of autonomous flying vehicles to make it safe and secure for both the consumer and the company itself from a liability perspective?
I think there are a number of things that actually have to come to be the case in order to have truly autonomous aircraft flying people. Certainly there's a technical element, which is we need something that is safe and reliable and capable of a very, very high level at that. We do need the regulatory body to have standards written so that we can approve things like self-flying aircraft. And then, of course, the broader population. We need to be in a place where we're comfortable with this type of service. So I think this is something that's going to happen very gradually. And for us, our intention is not to pull the pilot out of the aircraft anytime soon, but it's to begin to build the building blocks that could one day get the technology ready. So when those other elements are at the point where regulators are ready to have self-flying aircraft and the consumer is ready for it as well, the technology will be right there with them.
But how do we then prevent having congestion in the air with these added extra services?
The third dimension really is just so vast. As soon as you get off the ground, the volume of space is really, really significant. And the ability to move through the air very quickly means we have a lot more flexibility around where we fly. And so a key piece of our approach, and anyone within this technology space I know is thinking about this, we have to be extremely thoughtful about where these aircraft fly and where they take off and land.
How do you ensure that you have the right price point? Because I imagine this could be quite expensive.
Yeah, we actually see a path, even starting very soon, a path to reaching a price point that's attractive to a pretty large consumer audience. And certainly once we get to autonomy, even with our existing airframe, the pricing gets even more compelling and quickly begins to rival that of ground-based modes of transportation. And for us, that's what gets me really excited. When we start to see numbers that are showing that air transportation could in fact be on par with or perhaps even cheaper than ground-based modes of transportation at some point in the future, that gets really, really interesting.